somewhere out of the state. But it's really opened my eyes up, to the beauty of nature, right here at our doorstep. But then also, the population we serve, really say it's for all abilities because we serve individuals whether they, have a spinal cord injury and they use a wheelchair, we're able to take them hiking, or it might be a participant that just came back from, serving in the military and just so stressed out with PTSD, and we take them camping, and it just kind of, relaxes the individual, and it's just a win-win situation. So, here we are. We were the adaptive rec program with the city of Phoenix, but we're getting our feet back on the ground to be a standalone nonprofit. And one of the biggest things that I've looked for is mentors to really, see what other organizations do and so forth. And I ran into Jeff, from online because he had this Trailblazer, and this is kind of like it's a cross between a wheelbarrow and a wheelchair, where we can take a person that doesn't have a lot of mobility, but we can take them out hiking and so forth. And Jeff is the only other one that I know in the United States that has one of this piece of equipment. So I always admired, all the mountains that they went on and so forth, with this tool. So, nothing that serving the population, that we do. I have a nephew who has Down syndrome, so serving individuals with special needs is nothing new to me. But really, every individual, everyone's needs are different, and I think one thing that really kind of stands out is the people that we serve. Society is a very visual oriented group. And when you say that you serve individuals with disabilities, they automatically visually think that they're in a wheelchair. It's something that they can see, and that is so not true because there's so many things that you can't see. That is considered as a sort of a disability, whether it's a person with severe arthritis or a hip replacement or whatnot. Our philosophy is everybody has the right to risk, but as well as everybody has the right to recreate, and we're here to really assist them to do that. We do cycling, kayaking, hiking, whitewater rafting for adults through Grand Canyon. We have an awesome whitewater rafting trip for teens up on the San Juan, where we take them out of their four walls that they're in today, and no technology and so forth, and to get the group talking where they just totally open up, and magic happens within 6 days of life's not so bad. There's a whole world ahead of them out there. So we like to open those things up. So I know I'm rattling on and on and on, but I love what I do, and I am so blessed, to be able to do what I do and help people however I can.
No, don't worry. We're going to come back to all that because I've got a lot of questions about both organizations. But we got Jenna down on the bottom. I want to make sure we get a little bit of her story because Jeff was telling me that she is also a podcaster and such. So I want to hear kind of how she got to her place too.
Yeah. Are you interested? I don't have the same sort of background in adaptive adventure. So are you interested in my career journey, or what would you like to know?
I guess, where you grew up, did you do any outdoor recreation growing up? And then how you got on your career path to the master's in nonprofit, and what got you interested in, kind of volunteering with Jeff?
Okay, sure. So I am an actual immigrant. I am originally from near Toronto, Ontario in Canada, and grew up there near the Great Lakes, and actually married an active duty U.S. Air Force guy, which took us over to Europe for many, many years. And then we got stationed in Colorado, which was my first venue into America. And luckily, I absolutely adore Colorado. And this is where I feel like I really truly found the outdoors. It's very, very different from Southern Ontario where I grew up, and, you know, the elevation's quite a bit different. But when I first got here, I definitely wasn't an outdoorsy person, and I didn't see myself out there. I saw a lot of imagery of people that were, frankly, very fit white dudes, and I just didn't identify with that image and with that representation. I just wasn't like, I can climb a mountain. I can't go like rock climbing. I can't do any of this stuff. So this isn't for me. But I started powerlifting when I was in my mid 20s, and that gave me some really incredible confidence to kind of just go outside of my comfort zone and see what I actually could do. And that's when I really began my foray into the outdoors and really learned about how important it was for my mental health and my physical health. And just, it was somewhere that I felt completely present, probably because I didn't have multiple screens in front of me, and very calm and very at peace. And I was just like, wow, this is super important for me. It's probably super important for many people. And it became a passion of mine to help other people get outside and really make sure that everyone felt comfortable out there, because I certainly didn't. So I could empathize with people that didn't. And I, at the time, was working for a technology and aerospace startup that I helped launch. And that was a really fun job. But I moved over into the Olympic Committee after that and spent many years there working with sport. And of course, the Paralympic friends that I met there were amazing and could do such amazing things. So I was exposed to people with disabilities all the time, which was great. And then in the outdoors, I became exposed to people with disabilities on a camping trip one time. That just blew me away because they were faster than me, knew so much more than me. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. But yet not everyone with a disability feels as empowered as these people. So I came across the Lockwood Foundation. I literally don't even remember how. Like, Jeff, do you know even how we met?
There are 1,000 people on the internet that I don't know how I met,
yeah,
but I've met them in person now. So
yeah.
no.
Like, I just don't even remember how, but it just resonated. So that's how, I just saw it on Facebook and was like, wow, this is an opportunity to help facilitate a love of the outdoors for somebody, because it belongs to everyone, truly. And I want to be an actual champion for that. And I'm also very aware that any of us could become disabled literally at any time. So I would want someone to help me or my sibling or my parent or my child be able to experience this. And so, I started volunteering with them. I was still working at the Olympic Committee at this time. And then in February, just before the great change, I actually moved over officially into the outdoor industry, working here full time. And I do a couple things in this industry. I run a group for outdoor industry leaders that helps connect people with careers and also contacts and stories and advice. And we have a podcast in that domain too. It's called Outdoor Dream Jobs. And we talk about some available jobs and careers. And we talk to companies in the industry about who makes a good fit and why their workplace is great. And then my main job is with a company called Gearmonk. And that is an app that has authentic reviews on it, because we found that, people want to hear about what gear is actually good for them from real actual people, not from ads. And we want to help people make informed decisions about gear. So that's what Gearmonk does. And we're also planning this huge virtual event that's this year, replacing Outdoor Retailer and just helping brands get in front of consumers.
That's a pretty rich background. How did you get involved with the Olympic Committee?
So I have a pretty, if I would like a job, I typically just figure out how to get it. I help people in this domain a lot, actually. I just think that moxie is the key. So I was like, I want this job. And I went and I got coffee with as many people from the Olympic Committee as I possibly could and just talked to them. And then they became my friends. And then I applied for the job and I said, hey, I know all these people at the Olympic Committee. Like, obviously I'm a good fit. The hiring manager went around to all of them and was like, do you know her? And they're like, yeah, she's great. So I had all these kind of like ready-made references for it. And then additionally, what I did was show that I could do the job and not just put it on a resume. So I found out what the hiring manager was really looking for, and I created a whole website, like a whole kind of digital strategy for them before I was even hired, and showed that I could do the work, and then got a pretty sweet job. I was doing scientific communication with anti-doping researchers. So that meant I was speaking with chemists and analytical scientists of that nature, and taking what their work was and making it palatable and explaining it to like Major League Baseball and the NFL and all the pro leagues and the Olympic Committee, and being like, here's what this means and here's how your program should be adapted because of it.
Gentlemen, I think we're both all out of our leagues here. Wow, you are a force to be reckoned with. I'll tell you that.
Oh, well, thank you.
You asked me earlier or Jenna asked, how did we run across each other on Facebook? And my answer is, I don't really remember how Jenna and I ran across each other on Facebook, but what I do remember is all the people that Jenna has connected with me with since.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time connecting people with other people, which feels great because it's easy for me to do, and then I don't have to do any more work after that. So it feels like I did a lot in a very short time. It's efficient.
Wow. Okay. Jeff, talk me through the process of how someone gets in contact with your foundation, and then how you set up trips and what those trips look like.
So we are a new organization, so we're always reevaluating this process. Where we're at now, however, and this may change, and it has changed even recently. Where we're at now is, we do operate a lot through extended networks. We connect with people who run organizations that can make recommendations and references to us. So how do we get people up a mountain? Where does that process, wheelchair users, let's say, and that seems to be, our program is so small and it's not extremely broad, although we do take people of all abilities on our trips, but we seem to be specializing with wheelchair users because of the technology that we have. That being said, how do we get a wheelchair user up a mountain? Where does that process start? It usually starts with a recommendation or a reference to our organization. Somebody goes through the website, through Facebook, social media, a phone call, reaches out to us. And one of the new steps that we've added this year, and we actually have an event for this Saturday in Pueblo West, is we're doing Trailrider tryouts. I believe Jerry, they his organization, they call them the Trailblazer, but it's the same device. And this is this one-wheeled kind of a rickshaw and a wheelbarrow combination device. And so we have these events, these tryouts, and this is an opportunity for our volunteers as well as prospective riders / participants to come check out the chair, try it out, see if it's comfortable, see if they're able to lift it, push it, pull it, sit in it, ride in it, go over bumps, railroad ties, up hills. And it kind of gives us the idea of, is this a good fit for the individual? And is the nonprofit that we run a good fit for the volunteers? From there, we try to increase the difficulty of the terrain as we go by and evaluate if, what kind of trail would be the next step up. And at this point, we've done everything from loose graded gravel to carrying our Trailrider 1,200, 1,500 feet up a 14er and maybe another 1,000 feet on the wheel itself. So, we did learn some lessons from that trip on Quandary Peak, but, we have this range and we understand the limits of the chair. So these events are to understand the limits of the volunteers and the comfort level of the participant and where they fit on the different difficulties of trails. So we try to ease people in, basically, whether they be volunteers or volunteer hikers or riders. We're working on stretching out this process of easing people into the trail as well as into more difficult and kind of crazy wild adventures. So that's how that kind of process works. Anything else I can elaborate on as far as from A to Z, from the bottom of the mountain to the top, so to speak?
No, I mean, I think the actual travel part is pretty straightforward. You just have a group of volunteers that kind of alternate in assisting these people up these peaks, right?
Yeah, we use teams. Typically, I prefer to have non-shift based teams. In other words, we ask people, who's up next jump in. And the reason we do this is because shifts create an obligation. And if mountains are difficult on their own, so to be pulling and pushing this chair, it's not terrible.